This entrepreneur journey starts with a dream, and you don't need to have it all figured out on day one or month one or year one. But if you keep working at it, success is right there.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good afternoon, Amelie Chanda. Previously, episode 833 of the 12-Minute Convos podcast. It's been just 3 years, 2 months, 3 days, 21 hours, and 30 minutes since we last recorded that conversation. That was then. This is now. Emily, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thanks for asking, and thanks for having me again.
Yeah, definitely a pleasure to have you back onto the podcast. Wow, the last time we spoke, you were transitioning from the corporate to the business, right? I'm not sure if you're doing that in the day or the night. I'm guessing you're working all the time, right? I'm guessing, right? Tell me, how have things evolved?
Yeah, doing really well. When I was listening to the last interview we did together, so in the middle of transitioning, which obviously went for it and been rocking my business for the last, I guess since I've talked to you, so full-time since the last 3 years,
Sweet.
and I'm enjoying it so much.
It is a ton of work, isn't it? But it doesn't feel
It's
like work the way the 9 to 5 feels.
Exactly. I'm super excited when I get up in the morning. I know I'm making an impact, and I absolutely love what I do.
You stuck through. You've done it. You've actually, I mean, come on. How does that make you feel looking back? It's 3
Yeah.
years. Come on. How do you feel?
It's very exciting. The time has flown by, to be honest. Like you said, it is a lot of hard work. But when you find something you're really passionate about and you start to feel the success in there, there is no other space I would want to be in right now.
Now let's talk about the importance of being mindful in the midst of everything that you've been doing from the time that it took to get you here, which is the mindfulness when you just started, to now. How important is it to be mindful?
It's a priority. This is part of what I praise to my clients days in, days out. And if I'm going to be the best coach that I can be, I need to make that a priority for myself. So my practice has evolved over the years. Sometimes it needs to shift and change, but it is still a priority. And I know that it has made a huge impact in my life and in my business.
You were doing yoga and fitness and wellness. What's the ratio now of things you're doing?
Yeah, it has shifted. When I started the business, I was really focusing on the nutrition and the fitness. And I can say that now the mindset piece of my business is really what sets me apart. And I see it's making the biggest impact. So the majority of the work that I'm doing is mostly with mental health and emotional health rather than the physical health. So that has been a big shift in my business.
There's a boy with 2 sons, right? You have 2 sons, right?
A girl and a boy. So I have one of each.
How have they evolved, seeing what mommy's doing? And are you seeing the entrepreneur bug in them as well?
Definitely one of them. My oldest has been helping at some of the events that I host monthly. So she feels like she's part of this business, and she's excited. I cannot wait to see what she turns out to be when she grows up. But I can feel the entrepreneurial spirit is there somewhere.
Having a coach was responsible for pushing you through the beginning stages of this. Do you still have a coach, and is that part of what keeps you going?
Yeah, on and off. And actually this year, or 2019 and the start of 2020, I've been closely working with a coach. I felt like for a little bit, I was sitting in that really just content space and happy with where I was at. But I've realized that I want to make a bigger impact and I want to grow this business even more. So I'm just starting a mastermind this weekend with a great team of coach, and yeah, it continues to have a really big impact into my personal life and my business life.
Are you helping other children as well with the mindfulness layer of what your business represents right now?
I have for some time, not as much right now, but I've done a lot of work in schools and I've hosted some summer camps for girls in the past for health and wellness, including the mindfulness piece. Taking a little bit of a shift away from that at the moment, but it is something that is very important to me, and definitely making the time with my own kids to work with them and show them, some techniques, and they're really starting to bring it into their own life, which is super exciting to see.
Where are you living right now? What state are you in right now?
Actually, I'm in Canada, so
You
I'm in
are in
Port Dover,
Canada.
Ontario. Yes,
Okay,
so a
okay.
little lakeside, quiet town where small business are just thriving. So I'm surrounding myself with amazing entrepreneurs who are on a quest to change our little area and grow some business.
You were in Quebec. What's the difference between being in Quebec and being in Ontario?
Yeah, lots of differences. So I grew up in Quebec, different culture, different language,
Hmm.
although it's the same country, a lot of differences. Now I call Ontario my home. So, yeah, definitely on the cultural side, it's quite different between the Quebec and the Ontario culture, but both have their strength, and I'm adapting to this new life in this new province.
Have you had Trini food, Trinidadian food, since you've moved down there, or even Caribbean food?
There's not a lot of Caribbean food available in our area, but
Okay.
definitely when I am in Toronto or Montreal, I love ethnic food, and I try my best to try as many different food as I can.
That's wonderful. There's a voice that we hear, a voice that urges us on. And of course, you can say no or yes to that voice. But 15 years ago, well, now 18 years ago, right? You stepped away from your day job. How do you ensure that you're able to discern in the midst of everything that's going on, all of the noises we hear as humans, that you're listening to the correct voice?
Yeah, I think there's the mindfulness practice that I introduced into my life quite a few number of years ago keeps impacting the decisions that I'm making, and I've learned over the last few years even more to trust the intuition and recognize what that gut feeling means and what it means when it feels perhaps like tight on my chest. Maybe it's a no. I'm more able to speak my truth following those signs that I feel inward. So again, more I'm tuned into myself, more I'm mindful, more I'm aware of what's happening, better I am at making decisions that align with my values and my goals and the life that I am creating for myself.
Focusing on mindfulness, does it press up against you? So at some point, does the thought pop into your mind that there's a possibility that we can die today or tomorrow? And is that in the forefront or in the back end of the way you apply it to planning your life going forward?
Absolutely. From time to time, you have those moments, especially when there's, incident in the news or in a community where, could be me. I decide to live every day to its fullest and concentrate on the present and what's happening now. I don't spend a lot of energy on the what ifs and the could have. That's just my personal decision to live my life this way, and it just makes me happier to
Hmm.
go with that than worry too much.
How has everything that you've been doing impacted your husband?
So he's at a huge transition as well. So he's quit drinking. He's been really
Wow.
active. He's feeling really great. He is really dug into the fitness and the nutrition piece as well, which I never really expected to come from him. So that also means our relationship is better because he feels better, I feel better, and together we're just a couple, a better team. And we actually just yesterday celebrated 13 years of marriage.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Congratulations. And this is without you
Thank you.
taking up a bat and banging it into him, right? This is you
No, this,
living your life.
yeah, it needs to come. This is a personal decision, right? When you want to make a change in your life, you need to be wanting to do that and be ready. I don't think anybody can make you change your habits. You have to be willing and commit to doing it for yourself and not for somebody else.
When we last spoke, you ended the conversation and you said, if I'm not mistaken, take it one step at a time. Is that still valid?
Yeah, I think so. I keep learning and growing, and sometimes you make a couple step backwards, but I've learned to pick myself up a little faster. And I obviously have more confidence into what I'm doing now, but it still is one step at a time. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when there's so much going on and so much to do. So I think to break it down and set a realistic expectation so I can keep succeeding and moving forward.
Well, I can tell you that I am proud of you, Emily, from listening to your voice before and listening to your voice today. Ooh la la, you have really increased in confidence, right? And I believe it's because you've now manifested the thing that you thought you could. And that definitely gives you confidence. So for those that are listening, please understand that she's not given up. So thank you for your service, Emily, because it is great that you take the time to come up here as well, right? To share with others how they can succeed if they do stay true to that voice that leads them on. So thank you, my friend. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I just want to say thank you. Thanks for your encouragement. Thanks for your support and continuing to reach out to us. And, this entrepreneur journey starts with a dream, and you don't need to have it all figured out on day one or month one or year one. But if you keep working at it, success is right there.
Where's the best place for someone that's listening to connect with you?
My website, ameliechanda.com. I love to blog. I love to post events. I like to share a lot of information. So great place to connect with me there.
Go to the show notes, folks, because Emily isn't spelled the way you might spell it, right? So go to the show notes, click on there, and you'll get that. Again, Amelie Chanda, a great pleasure, one that I treasure. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.